I just wanted to introduce myself because usually on the first day I get to meet everybody face to face, and this year of course things are a little bit different. In addition to the fact that I'm going to have a few online only classes, so that when you contact me either during my office hours or my virtual office hours, at least you'll have some idea what I look like without a mask on, and etc. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background of who I am, where I come from, and what my background is in teaching these courses. Obviously, I'm going to be your instructor for this class. My name is Ruth E. Schultz. Ms. Schultz is fine. I graduated and grew up in a little town called Concord. Most of you are familiar with the Concord exit on I-94. That would be where I grew up. I grew up on a farm, having horses, and you'll hear me in class often talk about my nephews that still show steers and sheep, and or I should say my nieces and nephews. I have some in South Dakota and some here locally as well. So after I graduated high school at Concord, I went on to Michigan State University, where I got both my bachelor's in electrical engineering with the computer science option. Note, they didn't actually have computer engineering when I first went into school. What they had is what they called electrical engineering with computer science, and they also had computer science with a computer engineering option. I chose to go the electrical engineering computer science option. And because of that, I'll often reference some of the things that we did while I was in college, that especially when it comes to the programming classes that I teach, I have a little bit different perspective than a lot of other people that do programming. One, because of my electrical engineering background in both a bachelor's and master's degree, I have done a lot of work with actually thinking of everything at the processor level. In other words, what instructions are actually going to the processor. And given that my last name is Schultz and I grew up on the farm with a bunch of what I refer to as farming engineers, doing things very efficiently was always heavily stressed. And as an engineer, I want to share my philosophy. One, an engineer should make things complicated more simple, not make simple things complicated. We should do things as efficiently as possible. Making things overly complicated just complicates everybody's life, and nobody wants to. That's not the right way to go, I should say. So when it comes to developing code and developing operating systems, there are always better ways of improving and doing things, and I often will suggest improvements in code and both anything that's done in class to be more efficient if possible. And that's kind of the perspective that I come from. I always want things very highly caliber and high efficiency. One of the interesting things is that I've had several graduating students that were not very happy with me while they were going through and necessarily getting their degree at Kellogg Community College, that I'll often hear from several years later, and they'll say to me, well, you know, you were pretty tough on me when I was going through school on a lot of my code. And I say, well, and they say, I'm really glad that you were, because they've gone on to work in other areas, and it's not unusual, especially in the programming area, for you to go through a few months of boot training or boot camp or initialized training. And they have often said that they're there with students that have graduated college in 4-year schools and universities that are struggling, and because I always have you look at your code as to be the most effective, inefficient way possible. They said it was just like second nature, and while others were spending all night working on perfecting their code, they were able to get theirs done in a very quick and efficient manner. So just to kind of give you that perspective there. The other thing I want to share is that from an operating system and hardware point of view, while I was at college in both my undergraduate and graduate degree at Michigan State University, I worked at the Case Center for Computer Engineering Support, also known as the Engineering Computer Facility there, where I started off working with Unix in 1985. So I've been working with Unix for, let's just say, a long time. And I started off with DOS 2.0 on a bunch of PCs. And of course, I've been continuing to work in the industry all the way up to Windows 10, Mac OS 10, of course, which is built on now the current version of Unix. But after leaving the college, I went to work at a company where we designed high-performance computers. In fact, the world's Guinness Book of World Record holder was the company for the 286 memory system, was actually at a little company called Dale Computer Corporation, which was located here in Michigan. And it was actually designed by my boss there, who is unfortunately no longer with us. And he designed a very highly efficient memory architecture that beat all the other manufacturers that were available. So I worked in actually developing computers, at high-performance computers. And you may say, did you say Dell? And I will say no, I said Dale, D-A-L-E. And the thing is that we never sold computers with our actual name on it. A lot of other people would buy the computers and we would put their name on it when it was sold. Now, mind you, at the time that I left there, we had transitioned from working with high-performance computers over to developing high-performance computing communication systems, where we worked at that time with Ameritech, which is now, of course, AT&T. But anyways, we worked with them, and the reason why we moved from one to the other is because of the fact that IBM was still at that time making personal computers, and they lost $4 billion in the PC industry alone. Yes, that was a B, not an M. And so things were pretty tough, and I always wanted to go into teaching. And so 25 plus years ago, I switched from working in the industry into teaching. So I've been at this quite a while. I keep up to date with my skills and etc. as we go along to the ever-changing world of computers. And so hopefully that kind of gives you a quick background on me. I'm also going to show you a few clips of duck, and I may interject a few other pictures of still pictures of other things that I do as well. So hopefully you'll send me an email. Note schultzr@kellogg.edu is the best way to get a hold of me during class, because if I am during another class, I will often be away from my phone, or if I'm working in virtual office hours, that's a good way to get a hold of me as well. You'll probably see something on either Microsoft Teams or a Zoom link coming up that you can contact me face-to-face as well. So welcome. Hopefully I'll get to see you at some point in the semester. If you have any questions, please contact me.